Hey, what's up, guys? This is a set 4.5 guide, how to play all the comps. I'm going to talk about early games, mid games, ideal items, how you want to open the comp, and when to roll, and how you know when to play this comp. So we're just going to begin. I'm going to talk about some general things, like general good early game chosens are these guys down here: Garen, Trist, Jan and Jax, Vlad, Nasus. A lot of the chosens you can run in most cases early game. It's you just play your best board, but these are chosens you almost always want. These are chosens that will almost always carry your items that you have. Late game chosens are Sedge and Aatrox. You can run these as vanguards in basically any comp in the game. Morgana is one that's really good in most cases. You can fit a Siphon or Morg in basically any comp, but the Enlightened one's not as great. But you can almost always fit it, especially if you have Morello and you want to hold it. When you get to late game, things like Zillion, Set, Sway, and Yone, they fit in just about any comp. You can almost always fit these chosens in. Zillion Mystic is probably the best chosen in the game, so if you're at level 9 and you want to drop your chosen, that's a good time to do it. These are the units you want to look for. So getting into the actual comps, they're in order of like how good your start is. So if you have like a pretty good start, these are like the comps you want to play: Slayers, Dragonsoul, Executioners, Talon. These are probably the best standard comps you play. You have a good board, you have a good early game. You want to play these from a good position. You don't want to be loose streaking into these comps. And the lower on this list you go, the less you want to play these comps. But all these comps can win. It's just like if you start shitty, the shittier your start is, the lower you go on this list, basically. So Fabled, Brawlers, Warlords, Sivir, Xayah, and Cultists, they're kind of like mid-roll comps. And then even lower, if your start is just cursed, you play Zed, Ninjas, Mages, Duelists. So it's just the lower you go, the worse your start is. So let's just start with Slayers. You want to start Sword, Bow, Glove. Items you look for are GA, Last Whisper, and in that way you build for... If you start GA, Last Whisper, you build for either Slayers or Talon. So you have two options there. And you just play out bases on what you hit. Other good items are Hodge, Runon's Deathblade. You can carry things like Callista. You can carry things like Sharpshooters with that. And then you can go into Olaf. So that's for Slayers. You can also go into Callista or Samir if you hit it. Good item holders are any Sharpshooters. Triss is the best. Nidalee is okay. Any Assassin is okay. Pyke is okay item holder. Diana is an okay item holder. Akali, not even chosen, but she's an okay item holder. Yasuo is decent. You just don't reroll it. And then like any Cultist. Like TF is good. And Cultist opener is just generally good for this comp. Late game chosens, you want like whoever you're carrying. You want Tryndamere or Olaf. Ideally, you can run Vanguard Sedge, you can run Vanguard Aatrox, you can maybe run a Morgana in here. They're not bad, but ideally it's one of these. It doesn't have like if you have a stacked Tryndamere and you get like a chosen Olaf, you just take it. Like if it fits in your comp, just play it. Don't just tunnel. Just play what you hit and just keep a strong board. Like for most of these comps, you want a strong board going into it. Dragonsoul, your item start is pretty flexible. You can go Rod, Glove, Sword, Bow, Chain. It really doesn't matter. When you play this comp is when you hit a Dragonsoul chosen. You play like literally anything else early. Shyvana's good, Trista's good. Those are probably the ideal ones. And you want a Dragonsoul chosen when you roll down at 8. So standard rolling means you roll a little bit 7 to stabilize. You want a decent board, and then you go 8 to roll for your final comp, and you just play around what you hit. So if you hit like a Dragonsoul chosen, that would be the ideal scenario. Executioners, you want to play this comp from ahead. This is the KL comp. You can maybe carry Xayah as a secondary carry. The best item start is going to be Bow, followed by Glove. And then Sword and Rod are fine. Sword is good for things like Zeke's, so aura items. Zeke's are good, Chalices are good, Hodge is good. You just want to slam items and play a good, strong early board because you need to go level 8 to roll for this comp to hit it reliably. So you just kind of slam decent items. Hodge, RFC is really good for like Callista, for our Sivir. GA is really good. Rageblade's pretty decent. Good item holders are going to be Sharpshooters and Callista. They're probably your best ones. So Sharpshooters are the best ones are Trist and Sivir. And again, you want to roll at 7 to make sure your board's stable. You don't want to roll too much. And you probably want to sell your chosen and roll at 8, because that's when the comp comes online. The best chosens for this comp are going to be any Kale, followed by any Executioner. And then if you hit your whole board, if you hit Kale 2, if you hit like Yumi 2, Kindred 2, you get Frontline. You can maybe take Shen Chosen, you can maybe take a Divine Chosen, but if I'm still gonna be rolling a lot of gold for Kale and I get like a Shen Chosen, you almost don't want to take it because you really need to hit Kale too. It's like the most important thing. But the items for Kale are pretty flexible. RFC, Rageblade are probably the best, and you might want a defensive item, but you can also go like Runon's Deathblade. The item, it's super flexible. This is probably the most flexible comp in the game. Talon, he's back. They just bug fixed him. Sword Glove is your opener. You wanna carry someone who holds those items. So Yasuo, Diana, Wukong, any sharpshooter, it's pretty good. Core items are Morello, GA, IE, Last Whisper, but you can slam things like Hodge. And after that, it's probably utility items. Deathblade is okay. RFC is okay. It's like kind of flex, but ideally you want a Morello plus Talon items. Best Chosen's Talon Morg for sure. And if you already have those, like I wouldn't take Aurelius Shen early, but if you hit Talon Morg, then you can take him. You can also run like an Assassin Chosen. Like if you hit everything else and you get like Chosen Akali or Chosen Pike Assassin, you can run it for Sin. It's not bad. Fabled. So ideally you want to start Rod or Glove. You can also start you can also go for like defensive itemization. So like Cloak or Chain. They're not bad, but they're not the best. And for this item, for this comp, good early slams are just Rod items. So Jewel Gauntlet, Death Cap. Aura items are good. Zeke's Chalice. They're not a priority, but they're pretty decent. And then tank. So Sunfire. Vanguard Spat's probably the best item in this comp. Sunfire is good early game. Morello's pretty good on Sedge. And then just like tank items. Just like tank items on Nautilus. Rod items on Nico, and you're good to go. Things like GA, Gunblade, like all that's good on Nico. You just slam whatever. Like this comp's pretty flexible. You roll at 7. You want to roll at 7 to make sure you hit your comp. And if you're close, you probably want to slow roll for a long time and try to get your 3 stars. Like you want to try to go for Nico 3. You want to go for Nautilus 3. If you're contested, you probably don't go. You probably just go 8. But if you are uncontested, you roll at 7 for sure, and you try to get some of those 3 stars. Signs to go 8. Once you hit like something and you're not far from something else, you go 8. Like if you hit Nico 3 and you have like 3 Nautiluses, you just fucking go 8. If you upgrade your full board, if you have Sedge 2, Aatrox 2, Nautilus 2, Nico 2, and you have nothing else, you just go 8. Because you realistically you're not gonna hit anymore. So you kind of have to like figure out. You kind of have to like think about it. It's like, what are the chances that I hit anything better? You kind of have to weigh your options there. Good item holders. You need someone to hold your tank items. So the best one is Braum, but things like Garen are good, and like any Vanguard, Nasus is fine. And then you need someone to hold your AP items. So Nasus works again. Vlad works. TF works. You can stack Vi. You can stack Brand. You just want someone to hold your AP, and you just want someone to hold your tank, and then you're good. The best Chosens are Nico Chosen is Mystic, the best one, followed by a Vanguard Chosen, Nautilus, Sedge, Aatrox. Vanguard Chosens are the best. You're probably not gonna hit Aatrox Sedge because you're rolling at 7, but if you do hit those, you probably just like 2-star your other board and you just go 8, and you just play like that, and then you go 9 and you're just chilling. Because if you hit Vanguard, Sedge, or Aatrox, you're just high rolling. Fabled Chosen is also okay. It's not my first choice, but I almost always take it, and I just drop Cho. So I could run like 4 Vanguards, 4 Mystic, depending on the lobby. Yeah. So Brawlers. Brawlers is one like the... So these are like our low roll comps. I guess Fabled isn't low roll, but these are... We're getting into the range of low roll comps. So Brawlers is one of those. You wanna play this when you get early Brawlers. So Sunfire Cape is a good early slam. Runon's is a good early slam. Hodge is okay. Titans is okay. These are all decent items. Your priority is Runon's Shyvana, and you need a Shyvana. If you don't get a Shyvana, you're kind of doomed. But you roll at 7. You play your best board early. You probably sell your Chosen at 7. Even if it's like Maokai, you might consider selling it if you're gonna roll a lot, because you want to hit a Shyvana 2. Your goal at 7 is to hit Shyvana 2 and get a Runon's. And then you just go 8 from there. You're probably staying 8 to roll for either Nunu 3 or Shyvana 3, depending on what items you have. In certain cases, if you can go fast 9, you can go for Set, but that's not most cases. Like most cases, you're playing for Shyvana 3 or Nunu 3, depending on your items. Best chosen are Shyvana and Set, followed by Nunu Cho. You can take them, but they're not great. But yeah, this comp is pretty simple. You have 1 carry, you play some Brawlers. 9, you can drop a lot of the Brawlers and just like play around the carries you have if you ever make it there. Like drop Maokai, drop Kench, drop Vi. You can keep Shyvana, Nunu, Cho, and Set, but drop the other noobs. They're kind of worthless, and you just play better units. Get some legendaries in there. I added Warlords in here. I don't think it's a great comp right now, but it's probably an honorable mention. So you want to start Glove, Sword, Rod. And you ideally you want to play for a Tryndamere. Like Tryndamere is probably the best scenario, but even if you have Tryndamere carry, you don't really want to run 6. I feel like the only way you play 6 Warlord is if you're carrying Cat. And the best way to play it is with the Fortune Opener. If you can play Warlords with the Fortune Opener with like Kench and Cat and Darius, you can go 9 and you can get an insane board with like legendaries, like Warlord Set, Warlord Yone, get a Samira Warlord. Like that's the ideal scenario, and it's probably the best comp in that case. But outside of that, I don't like carrying Cat. And you're probably going to be rolling at 8 for Cat 3 in most cases, but it depends. It really, really depends. So Tryndamere items are going to be like IE, Last Whisper, GA. Cat items are Gunblade, QSS, and then Titans. Good early chosens. Obviously, or Cat's not even the chosen, but if you get early Cat, it's really nice. Because it's really hard to play the comp without Cat. Because it's a Cat comp. Anyways, Diana's good. Yasuo's okay item holder for your Tryndamere. Diana's an item holder for Tryndamere. I guess Cat to an extent, but it's not great. I mean, you just run any AP carry for your Cat items. Like Vlad, Nasus, Vi, they're all decent. Garen's okay. Warlord opener, like Warlord Garen's okay. But the best one's Fortune for sure. And then your late game shells is either one Cat, Tryndamere, or like a Warlord. If it's a Warlord, you might want to, you could 3-star it. So like if you have Warlord Jarvan, you can 3-star Jarvan. If you have Warlord Vi, you can honestly stack Vi and go 3-star Vi. It just depends. Like you just keep in mind these are like low roll comps, so your win con is probably some random 3-star. Again, another one of these comps. Sivir is not even low roll. I'm assuming it's gonna get nerfed at some point in this set, so just keep that in mind. But your win con's probably Sivir 3. You want to open Glove into Bow. You roll at 7 for Sivir 2 and to stabilize your board. There's a lot you can play here. You can play 4 Sharps. You can play 4 Spirits. You can play like 6 Cultists. It's not even bad. You have a lot of options in this comp. The best items are Last Whisper followed by RFC, and then you want 1 defensive item, so like QSS or GA, and things like Hodge are fine, or items are fine. It's pretty flexible. And just like random frontline items are okay, Shroud, Bramble, Sunfire, things like that. You just want to play a good early game board, but Sivir's pretty good right now. Item carriers early, any Sharps, Twisted Fate, Diana, any Cultist, any Spirit, any Vanguard. You just want like a strong board until you can get that Sivir. You roll at 7, you get Sivir 2, you go 8, and then you can, from that point, you can either, if you natural a lot of Sivirs, you can go for 3-star, but if you don't, you just go 9. Your board is if your board's stable, you can go 9. One sec. Excuse me. Ideal chosens late game, Sivir, Spirit. Spirit's like a mid game chosen. You probably drop it at some point at like 8, or like a Cultist / Sharp. But these are like variants. Like it's usually gonna be Sivir or Spirit, but you can also go Cultist Sharp, and if that's your best board, you just play them. Xayah Keeper. Okay, this is a comp that has recently started rising in popularity. It revolves around Kennen 3, 4 or 6 keepers, and Xayah carries. Your carries are Kennen and Xayah. The best start is Rod. You want Rod for Morello, you want Rod for Spark, followed by Sword. You want Sword for GA, and it's just flexible. You can go Giant Slayer for it. It's not bad. Glove is also fine. Glove is for Hodge. You want to roll at 7 for Kennen 2. You want to get like 4 keepers online. You probably want to find at least like 1 Xayah to hold your items, but you really want Kennen 2 mid game. But if your board is stable before that, you can maybe go 8. Best items, GA for sure, Morello for sure, Ionic, Hodge. These are your 4 core items. They're all insane. You don't really need all of them, but they're all really good to have. For item carriers, any keeper is good. Vi is good to hold your AP item. Like before you get Kennen, you need someone to hold your AP items. So things like Vi, Garen, Vlad, Nasus, all those are good units. And you want someone to hold like your Hodge and maybe Giant Slayer, your Xayah items. So Pike is okay. He can also hold like Morello and Spark. Basically you just need item holders. Sharps are fine. You just play your best board and you'll be alright. Best late game chosens are Kennen and Xayah. Kennen 3 is probably one of your big win cons here. You wanna stay, so you wanna roll at 7 a little bit. You want to stabilize your board, then you want to go 8, and then you at 8 you slow roll. You probably don't go 9 for a long time. You need to hit Aatrox, you need to hit Xayah 2, you need to hit Kennen 3 usually, and you want to get like 4 or 6 keepers in there. Aatrox is core for this comp, Kennen is core, Xayah is core, no one else matters. Azir is really nice, but you know, go for that Kennen 3 and you are good to go. Cultist. So Cultist is kind of one of those low roll comps, right? You play around whatever you have. If you have a bunch, like this is a high roll comp when you're low rolling. If you have a million TFs, you re-roll it. If you have a million Pikes, you go Pike 3. A million Cultists, a million Sivers, you go for that. And you can go 6 Cultists, you can go 9 Cultists. This is very flex. It's pretty much whatever you have. When to play this comp is when you roll a million of these units. So ideally, you're playing it from a glove, bow, or sword start. Things like RFC are really good if you're running the Kalista. Things like Runons are good if you're running Kalista. GA Sunfire are good flexible items in general. Sunfire is always good. You can put it on Elise. You can put it on like Jarvan if you're playing Keepers. GA is really good on Sivir. It's really good on Kalista. Like this comp is you literally just play whatever you hit. Whatever Cultist variant you're running, you can go Keepers. You can go 6 Cultists. You can go 9 Cultists. You can get Duelists in there. Carry, you know, just 3-star somebody probably. You can go 9 Cultists if you hit it like at 8 with the Zillion. But you want to stabilize at 7. So you want to roll for your comp at 7. You want to make sure you're stable. You probably want 6 Cultists or 4 Keepers, depending on what you have items for, or what you're rolling into. And then you want to roll at 8. At that point, you can decide to go for a 3-star at 8 for like Kennen, Kalista, or Sivir, or you know, you sell it and just transition to something else. But if you want to stick with it, you probably want a lot of Cultists. And you might not even sell your Chosen. You can reroll TF. If you're rerolling TF, you want to hit it naturally. If you're rerolling Elise, you want to hit it naturally. You don't want to roll 5 or 6 for these units. You need to hit it naturally, or you're playing something else. Again, these are all low roll comps. Zed, you need bows, you need Zeeks. You know, you want RFC, Runon's QSS, and you need Zeeks. These are your core items. If you don't have these, you're not gonna have a good time because you're already playing this comp from a really bad spot. It's like these comps are high roll because you need to hit the Zed, you need to hit perfect items, but they're low roll because you're playing it from a bad spot. You never want to play this shit. You kind of just like luck into it. But they can win. If you do high roll the low roll comps, you can win. So these items are very core on Zed. Good Chosens early are, I mean Zed, but Sharpshooters are decent, Cultists are decent, but you really want Zed. You probably don't want to play it if you don't get Zed. You're probably playing something else. Ninjas are basically the same way. Instead of hitting Zed, you hit like you roll at 7. Like the way you play this comp is you roll at 7, you get a random Akali Chosen. Like you're playing KO, right? You have an RFC, and you roll at 7, and you hit Akali Chosen, and it's time to go Akali now. Or you hit like a Kennen Chosen, you can run that, and you're just getting a bunch of ninjas. The items are the same. You want RFC, Hodge, IE on Akali, and you want Zeeks in the comp. J Kennen is good. Assassin Spec Kennen is probably like one of the best things you can get in this comp. It's really nice. Your early game Chosens are going to be Sharps / Cultists into Akali, maybe Kennen. Reroll mages, you want to hit early mage. The best one is Annie. Other than that, you can go Lulu. You can also hit like, if you high roll Brand and TF, you can reroll for those. And you want to reroll for those maybe at 6. You want to roll a little bit at 6. If you're like really close to Brand and TF, you want to roll a little at 6. And that way you can hit Annie's, Lulu's, and your 1 costs. Other than that, you probably want to roll at 7. 7 is where you usually roll for this comp. You go for Lulu, you go for Annie, you go for Veigar, you want a 2-star Asol, and you want to 3-star your Annie. You don't want to go 8 until you usually don't go 8 in this comp. But if you do go 8, you can add a Swain. Swain's probably the best thing to add at 8. So you go Brand, Asol, and Swain, and Mage Swain is insane. So the items you want to slam in this comp, or you want to slam good frontline items. You want items on Annie. You want Stoneplate, you want Sunfire, and then just like random items you have. You can pretty much play anything. Like QSS, Trap Claw, whatever you have. Things like Blue Buff are okay. You want to start Rod Cloak, and then whatever. So you need some AP. You need Spark is really good on Annie. Death Cap is good on basically any unit. Chalice is okay. Like this comp is pretty flex. You just need the units, really. You just throw some tank on Annie. You just throw some AP on the back line. You're good to go. Gunblade Ace Soul is really nice. You know, you have a lot of options here. It's pretty flexible. But you do need a Mage Chosen, ideally. And you probably run it all game. And the last comp, it's like one of the last reroll comps we have left is Duelist. I don't even think it's great to reroll. Like, if you natural Yasuo 3, it's nice, and you can go for it. But if you don't, I think you just use Yasuo as a transition for like Tryndamere or Talon. You know, you just give them IE, Last Whisper, GA, things like that, and you sell them at 8, and you just play Talon or Tryndamere. You know, maybe Olaf. It's really strong. It's like you know, 6 duelists, 4 duelists is strong early game. Last Whisper is probably the best item in this comp. You know, obviously when a duelist chosen, and your late game is like if you high roll Yasuo 3, you can keep it. Because you need to go 8. Like if you just natural Yasuo 3, you can run it, but I wouldn't roll any gold for it. Maybe if you're like 1 off, you can roll, but you're probably off just jamming levels. And then you just again transfer to Tryndamere, and you can keep Yasuo if you high roll the heck out of it. So overall, that's pretty much what we're seeing in the meta. I think these comps all can win. Some of them need very specific starts. If you're in a good spot, you probably just play a standard comp. You go level 8, you know, you roll at 8, you roll a little bit at 7. But if you have a bad start, you can always default to one of these reroll comps, or maybe one of these here, and try to, you know, not go 8th. So I hope this helped you, and I'll see you guys next time.